The great Harmony Turner is here. She is, in and of herself, a new paradigm in college basketball and beyond. We have a lot to talk about. Locked On Women's Basketball starts now.
You are Locked On Women's Basketball, your daily podcast on women's basketball. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And a very happy Tuesday to you. My name is Howard Megdal, and I want to welcome you to Locked On Women's Basketball. I want to thank you for making us your first listen every day, showing up for us, over 200,000 of you in September alone. We're going to break our all-time record here in October, the way the traffic has been going, the way we show up for you 6 days a week. Of course, it is not just me. It is the incredible team across the board at thenexthoops.com, where we cover the past, present, and future of women's basketball. Everywhere women's basketball is happening, we are there. Go ahead and support us now. $9 a month, $72 a year, and you can go ahead and make sure you get that work directly into your email inbox. Over 100 reported pieces every month. thenexthoops.com. And we are hard at work on our college previews. We are well into that, as you've been watching them roll out, of course, even as the WNBA playoffs are now complete. The New York Liberty, the champions of the WNBA for the first time. College basketball is around the corner, and I am so excited. We have no off season. The Ivy League in particular is a place where high-level basketball is being played, and Harmoni Turner is a big reason why. There are many reasons why. I want to start. We're going to talk about your path here in segment one. Segment two, I think we just need to talk about how great the Ivy is, because people do not fully understand that yet. I've been an evangelist here on the show for a long time talking about it. We'll continue to do that. Segment three, Harmony, about what is ahead for you. But let's just start here. Your path to Harvard. I remember, it seems like not that long ago, it was pre-COVID, you make this determination. You are a top 100 recruit. Oh, you're going to Harvard. People were shocked. Like it was like you were going to a place that didn't even have basketball instead of like one of the best basketball conferences in America. Can you just kind of take me through your understanding, evolution of what Ivy League basketball and specifically Harvard basketball is and will be?
Yeah, of course. First, thank you for having me on this podcast. It is such an honor. I'm such a fan of you guys. No problem. And honestly, me deciding on choosing Harvard was not ideal for me. I've always wanted to be at the top school for basketball. And what made me decide was my dad. There was a time in fifth grade where I didn't have a team to play for because I was cut from my first team that I played on because I was too small, wasn't strong enough, and they wanted like bigger guards. So they basically told me they let go. And it was very devastating for me. And I was crying to my dad, and he brought me into his little office at home, and he was like, "Hey, do you trust me?" And I said, "I do." And then lo and behold, I ended up getting invited to USA 3 times, and ended up making a team that was better than the one that cut me. Mm-hmm. So he's never brought that up to me other than when it was he saw that I was kind of deterring away from Harvard. And so once he saw that I was kind of like scared that I wasn't going to be accepted, because you still have to get accepted into the school. They don't really care how good you are as an athlete. And B, he just saw how far it was from home. So that was another thing that I was a little worried about. And I was just scared. So that was the second and only time that he asked if I trusted him. And I said, I do. And he told me that Harvard would be the best decision of my life. And now that I've committed here, been here for 3 years, he is definitely right about that. So I'm super grateful for this opportunity. I'm super grateful that I got accepted. because that was something I was worried about as well. And just having an understanding of how many great athletes have gone through Harvard, not just basketball, and really doing your homework and really understanding that we had, I think, about around 30 medalists at the Olympics, this past Olympics. So just I'm in the Ivy League in general. And so just to like really understand, like we are not one dimensional. We're not just good in the classroom, but we're also great athletes and great human beings. We just decided to take an alternative route because we know that the ball's going to stop bouncing, or one day we're not no longer going to put on our track shoes anymore. So just really having that understanding and trying to change that narrative that we're not just nerds, that we can do more.
I mean, I know the ball doesn't stop bouncing. You're absolutely right. And again, we're going to talk more about everything that you do. I, Fortunately for basketball fans, that's not anytime soon.
Right.
And so the basketball itself is significant, and I do want to get to that, but I do want to talk about, and correct me if I'm wrong, you started a nonprofit called Pretty Insecure. As I understand, that's not your first nonprofit. When I was when I was researching this, right? Your first nonprofit was back in high school. Am I correct?
Yes,
The Harmony
and
Hoops Academy.
correct. So the Harvey Hoops Academy and Pretty Insecure kind of intertwine with each other.
Oh, tell me
Um,
more.
Pretty Insecure is something that I am delved into deeper just because it's more significant to myself outside of basketball. Everyone knows I'm a basketball player, so I feel like picking up Harmony Hoops is something that can be, or picking it up again is something that won't be super difficult to do. But another way that I wanted to connect to people that supported me and connect to people that know about me is to start that nonprofit. And I started with my mom over a year and 3 months ago. And it basically just tackles mental health, anxiety, childhood trauma, a lot of depression. And these are all significant to how my mother and I grew up. I faced a lot of abuse with my biological mother, and no one really knew about it because I was always smiling. I was always happy. No one really thought that anything was wrong, like going on with me that was, um, I guess, an adversity point.
Yeah.
So I really wanted to express that to young girls and young women that are going through similar traumas, and show them that there's more to life than what's get handed to them, and it's all about to how you operate within like the traumas that you have faced and moving forward. And we kind of just give out an outlet to these unfortunate girls who've been through these situations. For example, or my mom did because I was in school, but we set up an event where we took them to the American Airlines Center, and we had different speakers come speak to them. And a few of the speakers didn't have college degrees. And we made sure, like, hey, that is okay. If college is not for you, school's not for you, that is okay. But we have an alternative route for you. You can be certified in a lot of different areas without a college degree. And so we're just giving them different outlets and different perspectives on what they want to do to pursue whatever goals they want in life. And then we took them to HBCU week, and they had a blast. And we had a few scholarships that we gave away. So it's a pretty beneficial program, and we're basically working really, really hard to do what's best for these kids because they don't really have that opportunity when they're at home.
It's wonderful to see. It's not a surprise to me to hear you giving back. Again, coming from Texas and making this journey as well and doing it in your own way is itself, I feel like, a beacon to people who are trying to figure out that there is no one right way to do this. And that we're seeing it on the court too. We're seeing it in terms of what you're able to accomplish at Harvard already. So I'm excited to talk more about this. We'll be back in segment 2 in just a moment. Harmoni Turner is here, you guys. Howard Megdal, Locked On Women's Basketball, back after this. Locked on Women's Basketball is brought to you by Game Time. Game Time offers you the opportunity not just to sit where you want for the price you want, but to make sure you're doing it in a reasonable manner. I was taking a look. My wife has been interested in seeing the Philadelphia 76ers play. I know that's a whole other conversation, but you go over to Game Time and there are all kinds of deals, not only giving you the opportunity to go see the game, but also to be able to see what your view is with a 360-degree view from your seat. Now, you can wait till the very last minute and you can get last minute ticket deals to find out, Jay, is Joel Embiid going to play or not? And then you can even save extra with us. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDON NBA for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time. Back here in segment 2, Howard Megdal, Locked on Women's Basketball. Harmoni Turner of Harvard Basketball. I want to start by talking about something that's incredible to me. Because we went through segment 1. We haven't even talked about the fact that your injury and what you have overcome, it's not just that you've gotten back out onto the court, it's that you've continued to develop as a player. So I want to talk about a few different things that you do. We're going to get into 3-on-3 as well. You got to play for the U23 Team USA, which is really cool in and of itself. But first and foremost, right, you come back from a knee injury and it was ACL, it was MCL, it was everything to have to overcome. Just getting back to where you were would be a challenge for most people. But I want to go, CBB Analytics has great shot charts. And I am a nerd, so I like to spend a lot of time.
I love that.
I'm just going to own it, you know, and so that's just the reality of it. And I look at your ability to not just get to the basket, but to succeed when you get there. You have a 52.6% shot percentage at the rim, but more important to me, it was 14.7% of your shots were at the rim in your freshman year. It's up to 19.6%. How much, first of all, just how do you manage to not just work through this knee injury, but get to a point where you're getting to the rim consistently and effectively? Just take me through like how you train to make that happen.
Wow. I see you did your homework and I love that.
That's true.
And honestly, getting through the knee injury to start off, it was difficult because you have this narrative at first where you don't know if you're uncertain if you're going to be back to where you were, much less better. Yeah. And as an athlete, as an elite athlete, that's something that you always want to do, is try to get better every single day. And then once you kind of stop feeling sorry for yourself because you have that moment, you really just start to dial in and trust the process. You trust your trainers, you trust your rehab, and you trust the ability that God gave you. And then you lock back in and you begin to come like God-fearing, and you just go out there and play, because thank God that I'm back here and I'm playing something that I love and I was sitting out for so long.
It makes sense that you could get to that mentally, but physically, was there a moment where you just like realized, oh, I can do this now?
Oh yeah, always. I think once I injured myself, I was like, they better be glad that I'm out for this amount of time, because once I come back, it's like unleashing a beast. Like, I finally get to go out there and expose the talents that God gave me. And honestly, it's, again, you just go out there with a different level of confidence, because you're like, they haven't seen the best of me yet, and still haven't, which is also scary for them, great for Harvard. And I just really confident in my preparation. I prepared for this my entire life. And understanding that obstacles are going to happen. That's just life. So it's not what happens to you, is how you deal with them. So just try to take that approach every single time with everything that I do in life and just be grateful throughout the process. Like, that's just what it is. You find beauty in the struggle.
It's awesome. And there's a great deal of beauty in the struggle and the numbers. And so again, when we sort of dig deep, you had, I was in the midst of doing this research, you had a post on social media talking about, I want people to appreciate and understand my entire game. And people need to, right? I've
Yeah.
been, I feel like since before COVID, I've been talking about how your game translates to the next level. And the reason
Thank
why
you.
it translates to the next level is because of the skills that you bring to bear. So I want to talk about your defense a little bit and the fact that you are in all 3 seasons. Again, this goes back to the thing that's blowing my mind is you're doing this, you have clearly maintained and improved on your steal percentage north of 3%. Which is just crazy. Somebody for an offensive load that you carry to also have that steal percentage north of 3%, the way in which you're able to anticipate. And people don't really fully understand it until they get to watch you live to be able to see that, a lot of that's quickness, but a lot more of it is your ability to read an offense and essentially, create pick sixes going the other way. Is there anything more satisfying for you than the fact that you are able to create that? Because again, you in transition is just another level.
Thank you. Honestly, like, I feel like you just hit the nail on the head. Like, anticipation is key. A lot of film and just instincts, a lot of instincts, which is, I guess, a gift that I was blessed with and I'm grateful for. But a lot of it's instincts, and you kind of read the different mannerisms from the other players, like each player, and you can kind of like, technically you're supposed to be in one position, but because you know what's about to happen based on how that player is playing offense, you can do a essential pick six and, gamble a little bit because it's going to come.
And Carrie lets you do it. Carrie Moore, the head coach, she gives you, I feel like, a wide berth to be able to manifest all your different skills.
Yeah.
Both on both ends of the court. Do you feel that? Do you feel that freedom?
I do feel the freedom. She gives me a little slick talk sometimes, which is fun. She's like, you better get this steal if you're going to gamble because you're supposed to be here, but you better get this steal if you're going to gamble. Which is a little fun thing a fun challenge that I like to have, keep me on my toes a little bit. But for the most part, she gives me a lot of freedom on both ends of the court.
Yeah. And the other end of it too, that freedom is earned, right? So I go and I look at the ability you have to facilitate, which again, you can create your own shot and facilitate. As we go back to, and just putting sort of the scouting hat on, like what brings you to the next level. It's the fact that your assist percentage was just a shade under 30% last year. Just a shade under 30%, which is, as not the primary facilitator is a huge number. Your or your turnover percentage was below 13. In other words, just for those at home who don't necessarily understand the advanced metrics, like you're not making mistakes. You are not making mistakes that lead to, points going the other way. And so as you sort of think through and even as you've been in practice here over these last few weeks, are you getting more of an opportunity at times to be primary facilitator? And at some level, it's almost like an outdated concept, right? Because these modern offenses, there's not just like the point guard.
Right. Yeah. So this year, they're going to have me play a little bit off the ball more so that I can have a better range to facilitate and or score. So it's just a different lens for us and for the opponents as well, which I love best because I feel more comfortable at the two. So yeah, like I just think that this year is definitely you're going to see a lot more facilitating this year, but also a lot more putting the ball in the basket. I think it's just a new level this year overall.
There's a level at the Ivy League overall that in a lot of ways the last few years has been paced by Columbia and Princeton, I think it's fair to say.
Yeah.
You guys, and you know this, but just for our listeners who may not know, you guys are right there. I've been there. We've talked post-game after. You're right there, and it feels like there's a chance to break through. I know how competitive you are. How
Mhm.
much does it feel like, and how much do you even visualize it being able to make sure that people understand, yeah, there were 2 NCAA tournament teams last year. We're here, and it's time for us to put our stamp on this era of Ivy League basketball.
I've honestly been thinking this since I've committed here. So I feel like this being my last year, we might as well go ahead and do it. We might as well go ahead
Might
and
as
do it.
well.
We have a really great team this year, and I think
Mhm.
that's something that is scary for a lot of opponents. And credit to Columbia and Princeton, and honestly the entire Ivy. Like, we're a really great conference.
Yeah.
It's a really tough conference, and we have a lot of studs, not just at Harvard, but all across the Ivy. And so credit to those teams to putting more recognition onto Ivy, and just have an understanding that, yeah, like, we're also here too. And this year, we're trusting our process. We're not going to step too far ahead of ourselves, but we're a really great team, and I think a lot of opponents are starting to realize that.
Jen Hatfield, who covers the Ivy League as closely as anyone I know, has you guys first in her preseason ballot, which I
I
think
love that.
it says a lot. But there truly are there are so many good teams in this league. I tell people any chance they get, make sure you're watching Ivy League basketball. So we're going to talk a little more about just your path as you sort of think back and what is ahead, because
Mm.
sky's the limit on and off the court. Harmony Turner, Harvard, is here with us. Howard Megdal, Locked On Women's Basketball, back right after this. Segment 3 with the great Harmony Turner of Harvard, talking about your path. And so when I think about your path in a narrative arc, and maybe you think of it differently, you're living it day to day, right? But I
Mhm.
think of somebody who was recruited by the great Kathy Delaney Smith. So your legacy at Harvard dates back to before COVID, before a coaching turnover, to a path that brought us here to the program being where it is today. And yet here we are, we're heading into 2025. You have a chance to write a new story at the same time and chart a path for players who are coming in now who are going to be here through basically the end of the decade.
Mhm.
I mean, that is just a huge footprint to leave already. And I wonder how much you're able to take a step back and kind of think about it in those terms.
Honestly, I haven't really like thought about it a lot. But when the little bit that I have thought about it, I was like, wow, this is insane. This is crazy. Like, we're getting a lot of great athletes to come to Ivy, and that's insane. But also, I wanted to credit our legends that have gone through here that no one knows about really, because they don't really talk about it, and we should. Allison Feaster is arguably the best Ivy League player to ever play in the entire Ivy League, and she went to
Mhm.
Harvard. So she was a part of my inspiration in committing here, just changing that narrative. And now that we have social media is big and we have a lot more viewership, we can help do that. And I feel like, honestly, it starts back with her.
Oh,
It
yeah.
starts with her. It starts with Kathy. I'm just a part of it, and I'm super grateful to have this much weight. And it's also honestly like a beautiful thing to see. But I do want to credit the legends that have come through here before me.
Those of you who are new to women's basketball, go ahead and Google Harvard 16, Stanford 1 seed. Take a look and see what Allison Feaster did at Harvard. And she also, like you, had a path into the NBA. I know you had an internship with the Spurs.
Hmm.
Um, it- when you think about where you want to go from here, we didn't even talk about. I mean, you were on our list, our video highlights of the best handles of last season.
Oh,
Like you,
nice.
you have all these different skills. Playing pro, playing WNBA, is that where you want to be? And then beyond that, even where do you want this world to take you? Is it basketball? Is it even on the management side? Is it, continuing and expanding the nonprofit? Not that you got to choose, by the way, and that's the most beautiful part of women's basketball right now. You don't have to choose. But take me through sort of your vision board for what's ahead.
Oh, all of the above. My goal by the end of the season is not only to be drafted, but be a top pick. And that's something that I've really worked hard for, especially this summer. I feel like I proved a little bit of that during USA and just continuing to do that. And then this is where Harvard becomes Harvard. And that's in taking another sector into the business industry. I've worked with the Spurs. RC is really great. We are still connected to this day. So I'll love to dive a little bit more into the business side of things. Staying in the sports realm, just because that's something that is a passion of mine. Even if I'm not dribbling a basketball, I love sports, and I love the operation of how everything kind of facilitates, and really knowing the insides of everything. And I think that's super interesting. It makes me also become more grateful of the people that are working behind the scenes. And then with Pretty Insecure, yes, take that to the next level. Just be over a three-dimensional person. And I feel like that's the main reason why I committed to Harvard, is because like I know that I can do all of these things. Is it going to be tough? Maybe, but that's life. So I'm ready for it, and I'm excited for it. And I feel like I'm preparing for it and have prepared for it. And I'm really blessed and just enjoying the process, enjoying the journey, and honestly gonna see where God takes me.
I am one of many people who cannot wait to see what that journey is ahead. And we will continue to document it and talk about it and make sure people know Harmoni Turner. It is a delight. I'm just going to flag for people to understand, in week 1 of this season, it's coming up November 7th. It's a Thursday night. You guys are at Indiana. It's an early opportunity to make sure you see. I know you open home against UMass, but at Indiana, that's going to really give everyone a chance to understand at a national level what you guys are and where you're headed. So I can't wait to see it. To our listeners, I want to thank you for making us your first listen every single day. We'll, of course, be back with you tomorrow, as we are 6 days a week. So until then, I am Howard Megdal, wishing all of you a wonderful day.
You are Locked On Women's Basketball, your daily podcast on women's basketball. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.